Oh, that sounds like our government. You betcha. Take the money and run. We never know where it goes. It goes into that black hole we call, government. That pretty much sums it up. We have on the line with us Jeff Hare. He's running for House District 48. At the end of the last segment, I asked him a question. That question was, how are we... Well, it was about surveys. We had two of them, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners and the Colorado Union of Taxpayers pledge no new taxes. And so, Jeff, I'm going to go ahead and let you respond to that. How are people like me supposed to evaluate your positions when you won't take the surveys and you won't take the pledges?
Okay, good question. First of all, specifically related to the Rocky Mountain Gun Owners Association, I was the one that actually brought their precinct caucus resolution as precinct captain on Tuesday night. I was there. I brought it. We passed that unanimously. 100%. I am 100% behind commitment to Second Amendment rights. As it relates to taxes, I will look at the surveys to try to understand the questions. The problem with filling out surveys is you fill out one and you fill out two or three and don't fill them out them all, then people are feeling like you're choosing some issues over the other. So what we're doing as a campaign is we're going to be very aggressive about publishing our positions. No new taxes. I can tell you this much. I'm against anything that adds burdens to taxpayers. What I hear from people in Weld County is that they're struggling with things like high energy costs, high regulation, and taxes, and I'm going to protect the interest of the people first and foremost.
That sounds good, but I do have a question. If you are so pro-Second Amendment, why not take the survey?
I think it comes back to that comment I made. I think if I choose to just fill out one survey as opposed to all the surveys, then I'm picking and choosing certain elements. So I'm happy to talk to anybody about my stance on Second Amendment. Like I said, it's unequivocal, no compromise. I voted in favor and brought the resolution, and I think that speaks strongly to my stance on the Second Amendment.
And I will point out, Jeffrey, and this is neither here nor there, but one of the things this allows you to do, unless you plan on talking to every single constituent in your district about every single issue, one of the reasons groups like Rocky Mountain Gun Owners or Colorado Union of Taxpayers are as popular as they are is because they do allow people to go, I wonder how he answered these issues. Because you may say, I'm 100% for Second Amendment rights, but does that mean that you think it should be legal for people in El Paso County or in Weld County to have a tank?
To have a tank?
Yeah. I'm not going to put you on the spot with that question. I'm not going to put you on the spot with that question. But what I'm saying is, there are shades in every issue. So it's easy to go out and say. I mean, Rick Santorum right now is going out and telling everybody, "Hey, I'm a free market capitalist," except his record doesn't say that. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Now, we did have a listener actually text us a question and said, we would love to hear you tell us what you think the role of the state and federal government is in your own words.
I guess I go back to limited Constitution. I think of what's defined in the Constitution. We should have a limited federal government. We should be pushing things down to the state level as much as possible, and the state should be pushing it down to the local level as possible. I think we've seen a great example of that is the emissions issue in Weld County, where the state has really forced the issue for us to have to comply with emission regulations when we are already within the federal requirements. So those are some things that should be decided at a local level, how we comply with those as opposed to being forced to by Denver.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. Now, one thing that you did want to talk about that we haven't been able to get to yet because we've been too busy grilling you is the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. What is your take on that?
Actually, I've been following the debate the whole time. I've been concerned about it even prior to getting adopted. And to me, it's one of the greatest crimes that the federal government has committed against the citizens. I use the term crime in quotes, of course, but it is such a challenge to our individual rights. I can't even begin to describe it. I'm happy to say that there are 3 counties in the state of Colorado that have stood up to this and have passed resolutions. Weld County being one of those, and our campaign is working very hard on getting information out to other counties. We'll be sending out in the next week letters to every county with the resolutions that were passed by these 3, and we're kind of coming up with a sample resolution, if you will. So we think that not only us as individuals should be holding our legislators accountable at the federal level, but we think we should also be taking a stand at the state level. I would encourage, and I have encouraged a couple of our representatives and one of our senators that I know to make a stand at this at the state level. But in the meanwhile, our campaign is going to be continue to try to build as much momentum with cities and counties as we can.
We've gone back and forth on this issue, and I've posted a lot of different things on my Facebook. We've had Matt Arnold on the air with us. We've had our attorney, Randy Corcoran, on the air with us. There are other congressmen, even Alan West, who have come out and said that this is no big deal. This really doesn't do the things that people say it does. I've read the language. I'm not an attorney. I'm not one of those guys that can read that language and really say unequivocally it does this, it does that, it does this. Matt Arnold is a better judge of that. I know that he's not an attorney, but our attorney, Randy, he's a much better judge of that than I am. And they're telling me, it's just not that big a deal. And when I go and I do the homework on the internet and I look at both sides of the issue, it just confuses me even more, quite frankly. I mean, it does. I can't seem to get to the bottom of it. What say you, Jeff?
Well, I think that people on both sides of the political spectrum have become concerned about that. I mean, right after President Obama signed it into act on December 31st, you had articles immediately condemning it from ACL and Human Rights Watch to Forbes. I've been following a lot. Rob Nadelson from the Independence Institute, he's been on the Amy Oliver show up here in KFK quite a bit, and I very much respect Rob's expertise. He's definitely one of the top constitutional scholars in the country. And Rob clearly says that, it opens the door, as does our county attorney, Bruce Barker. So, I think there's enough people that have concerns about it. If there was only a few people that were, making a big deal out of it, it'd be one thing, but there's some brilliant minds that have said this, that does really, the term substantially supported in associated forces, especially in 1021, does leave the door open to interpretation. So I think it just behooves, Congress to get back in there and clarify this and put people's minds at ease.
Yeah, Jeff, I don't actually see a problem, especially when it's like when some of the counties, city councils and that kind of thing are actually coming out with resolutions saying, hey, we stand against this. I have no problem with that. I figure what the heck, better safe than sorry, and it means less time that some of our other governments can be doing, bad things to us as citizens. So, Jeffrey Hare, House District 48, tell people how they can find you, and thank you for standing up to the gauntlet.
You're welcome. HareforHouse on the web, HareforHouse.com. And then we have a Facebook link on the bottom right. You can follow our campaign. We have a very active Facebook posting, and I certainly would welcome anybody to friend me and send me an email, Jeff@HareforHouse.com.
All right. Appreciate that. And you know what? I did post Mr. Nadelson's Independent Institute analysis of this on my Facebook page as well. And, it's just
back and forth.
Yeah, it's back and forth. It's just one of those things. And I guess one of those times I'm going to trust my attorney and his judgment and until I can figure out differently.
And it doesn't hurt. It does not hurt to pass these resolutions and to pass these laws locally that would supersede it.
Well, and I know that what the Freedom Action Coalition team did, they passed a resolution that basically said, you know what, the sheriff is the chief executive officer of the party. The sheriff
of the county.
Of the county, yes, thank you. The sheriff is of the party.
We don't need the sheriff being in charge of the party. That'd be Albert.
Yeah, we got enough trouble.
So maybe Albert County, they need the sheriff to be in charge of the party.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that started some interesting things on Facebook yesterday. We'll be right back after this.